Let's go.
Live?
Facebook. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to connect to Facebook.
Look at you, all tech savvy.
See?
I know.
Where my timeline's fine. And preparing live streaming preview. Never mind this. I don't care about this. Okay.
My hair grows.
Say something.
Me?
About this. Hold on. I'm just going to copy. Because it wants me to say something in the post. So I'm going to say something. And I'm not sure that this is live. So watch what you say.
I'll keep it clean. I won't gossip.
Okay. Here and say that. And okay.
Yay.
I'm gonna go live now. Ready?
Yep. It says it's live. What are we waiting for?
Waiting for it to propagate. Okay. I think we're live. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So hey, everybody, it's Brandon from Harvey Callis Real Estate and Toronto Women's Expo, and I am super excited to be here with the lovely Odette Peek. Thanks, Odette, for being here.
Oh, it's awesome. This is so great. You know, it's so fun to do stuff with you, and you're always so obliging. So thank you.
Well, I love supporting you, and that's what we're doing today because we're going to be talking about something amazing that you're doing. But before we do, let's tell everybody a little bit about you, just in case there's some people out there that don't know you yet.
Impossible.
I know. Well, I've known you for years and watched your growth and transition, and you've had success even before I met you. You've built a couple seven-figure businesses, and you are just such an inspiration. I know you love helping people. You're brilliant at what you do. You know, you're just you've helped so many people grow their businesses, not only personally, but professionally as well. And you have done the same with yourself. You never cease to amaze me on how you just continue to want to grow and grow and grow and grow. And you take action. So you are an action taker. I know you are a no BS type of coach when you work with people, and you get things done. You make things happen for them. And that's what they hired you to do. Right? They don't need a pushover. So you make things happen. I love, you know, you've spoken on my stages so many times. You've been part of the events and we're doing workshops and training people, and you've just made such a huge impact, which is why you are the impact builder. So I love that. You help people speak, you help people to craft their stories, to figure out what the heck the story is in the first place and how to monetize that with their business. And you know, you really teach business owners how to grow their business using their speaking, using their stories, which of course is their number one tool. It's, you know, it's making them unique. And how are they different? How do they set themselves apart from everybody else? And you really help them captivate their audiences through that. So I know you have a 5-day challenge coming up, which we're going to talk about, starting July 6th until the 10th. So they've got 5 days to be part of it, which is awesome. And they're going to learn how to uncover and create an amazing talk based on their unique story, their soul story,
Right.
that, you know, everybody's dying to hear. And I love hearing people's stories. I always say that over and over again. It really brings out who they are, where they can get booked speaking online and offline, and how to get clients to clients and to make money. So those are obviously the most crucial things of any business, is making it a business and not a hobby, right? So tell us, what does your soul story mean, Odette?
So your soul story is the very essence of who you are. It's your inner sense of meaning and purpose. And most people, what I find, myself included, that when we're not in alignment with our soul story, with our inner sense of our deepest meaning and purpose here on earth, what happens is we derail our messages, and our business goes wonky. We're not clear on who our ideal client is, although we think we are.
Right.
Those are the people that want to service everybody. And what happens is you just become very diluted. And in today's world with COVID, every man and his dog is online.
Right.
So you need to be even more crystal clear to your audience on who you are, what you do, why you do it, in order to create that impact. And the fastest way to do that is using your soul story. So your story, what I call actually is your soul story moments, are all of your life experiences. So I'm 53. I've got probably 53 trillion stories that I could possibly tell.
Right.
And which story do you tell that captivates an audience? Which story supports your message that inspires someone to take action in their own life and in their own business? So a lot of people say, I know what my story is. And I'm like, yeah, you of course you do. You have to, it's your life. But what are the right stories to be able to share inside of your business that's going to make an impact for people as well as income for yourself? So
Right.
that is sort of the mini definition of soul story.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. So why is telling your story so important to growing your business?
Well, it's, I used to build my first business in the 90s, but prior to that, I was a sales rep for a lot of different companies in the 80s and then in the 90s.
Right.
And back then, if anybody remembers this, selling back then, no one cared about you. They just cared if you could make a buck. All they cared about is the product and bottom line and all of that kind of stuff. But in today's world, what's really, really important is to show authenticity, which ultimately comes with a certain level of vulnerability.
Right.
And we've all heard of the hero's journey. So you've got the good and the bad and the ugly is what I call it. And so you need to be taking your audience on both an emotional journey and an intellectual journey with you. And the only way to do that is by sharing a piece of who you really are. And back in the 80s, it was all about how great you were, how wonderful you were, never, ever about your failures. And the most important piece when someone is going to buy from you as a customer, if they're going to open up their wallet to spend money with you, they need to buy into you first. They need to know, like, and trust you. And the best way to do that is with your story, but told in a way that doesn't sound arrogant or any of that kind of stuff, that really comes from the heart and the soul, but also from the head. Like there's that connection. And I mean, I'm the first to admit that I was never heart and soul when I was trying to build my business, and it only gets you so far, the logical brain, right? So it's super important to have what I call your own signature, which is your story, because we all hear about that. What's your the DNA of what's the thumbprint of your business? Well, it's your story. And then how to be told in a way that gets people to actually listen to you and then buy into you and then buy from you.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a difficulty that a lot of business owners have. They're just not sure what route they're supposed to go and how they're supposed to say it. And,
Totally.
or they're afraid to be authentic and afraid to be themselves. What if people don't like me? What if, right? And so I think it's really important to stress that just be yourself. Not everybody is going to like you, and then that's that, right? But it doesn't matter whether you're being phony or real. There's going to be people that like you and don't like you. So, I mean, that's just life, right? But why is speaking so important?
Because how else is someone going to know, like, and trust you? How are they going to get to experience a piece of you if you're not opening up your mouth and speaking? And it sounds a little crass, but it's true. You know, you can blog, you can do all of those, you know, the written stuff. Those are important as well. But in today's world, there is no, I'll use the word no excuse. You can't not be speaking. You can't not be doing video. It won't work. Back when I first started in my business in 1993, I spoke as a way to get clients. But what I had to do was a little bit different. I picked up the phone, I made phone calls, I got booked to come in and do office presentations because my market was the real estate market. Mm-hmm. And I spoke for 5 minutes about who I was, what I did, and what was the benefit of my product and service. Right. And then it was like, get off the stage. And it's no different than today, except it's actually less time that we have, and it needs to be done consistently by way of either on stage in the real world, which is you know, crucial because it elevates your platform as well as a business owner. Your colleagues see you as someone that they want to you know, joint venture or affiliate with because you're rocking it out, and your clients are like, wow, you know, he or she, you're up to something really amazing. Just a little secret is that the moment you step out on stage, even if it's stepping out in front of the room at a networking event, you're instantly seen. There's an instant credibility booster that you know what you're talking about. It's an instant expert status. It just is, because people go, well, she wouldn't be, or he wouldn't be up in front of the room unless they had something important to say.
Right.
Now, when it comes to speaking online with this COVID and all of that, there's just 17 million more speaking opportunities than there were, you know, back in November. There just are, right?
Here, we're doing one now.
That's right. So, and you have the ability to create your own speaking events. Like, I think people don't realize that they have to, a lot of people are like, well, I got to wait till I get to a certain level in my business to do an event. I'm like, no. Right. And so this is a speaking gig right now. You know, 2-minute tips and, you know, Monday tip day is speaking.
Yes.
So it's super important that you know, that you do speaking and that you do it well. And look, whenever you start, face it, we're all going to not be all that great unless you're a natural at it, but you've got to practice it. And you might look a little silly once in a while. Like, I remember my very first speaking gig, which is online. I'm not telling anybody about it. It was the worst ever. Every mistake possible. And the not to do, I did. But I learned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll add to that because I love to talk about that as well, you know, because you hear people, like, I do so many interviews. So you hear people saying, you know, it's my first time, I'm nervous, you know, so you try to help them through, right? Because you've been through it. But then you say, you know what? Listen to my first podcast, like the first recording I ever did, and then listen to them going through, and you see such a transition of comfort, obviously, and confidence, and, you know, the ability to say the right things and ask the right things and that kind of thing. And it's hilarious because you listen to the first one, it's so boring and plain and, you know, literally just information, right? To, you know, bringing it to today where we can laugh and giggle and just have a conversation and not worry about all the fluff that's going around. And I'm going to throw this in there, Odette, like, speaking of that and speaking on speaking, you know, on stages or online or whatnot, you know, you have, obviously, when you start off, unless you're a natural, you have a lot of nervousness that comes with it. So does that ever stop for people, or do they always continue to feel some kind of nervousness going on stage, regardless how seasoned they are?
Yeah. You know, I think everyone's different. Even Barbara Streisand gets nervous when she goes on stage. She gets super anxious, so she's got to deal with it. You know, it's Barbara Streisand. There's a time and a place for you to go, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to just do what I need to do. And I'm going to be as confident as I possibly can. And I'm going to be okay that I'm sweating profusely and I'm scared to death. You've got to embrace it, right? When you embrace the fear and the worry or anxiety, whatever it is, then you're actually facing it and you're like, okay, I can do this. Right. So just a little quick story about being nervous. I did a TEDx talk in July, I think 2017. And up until that point, I could speak, and I was relative, I had a few nerves here and there, and it was like, I'm okay. But that I would use that as energy to be extra on stage, if that makes any sense, as opposed to more quiet. And so I had 6 weeks to practice the TEDx talk. I had to practice to write it and practice it. And for me, I needed to know it inside and out and backwards. Everyone's like, yeah, I just have your bullets and then you can ad lib. And I'm like, no, I needed to know it word for word.
Right.
So literally. And I knew that talk inside and out and backwards. It was insane. So the day of the event, I was the first speaker. I got there, I did a mic check on stage, and they had blinding lights. Like, I'm sure that's what the kind of lighting they use in interrogation. And all of a sudden, my heart stopped, and I went, I can't do this, because I couldn't see.
Right.
And I was practicing on the way to the event, and I started to screw up my lines a little bit. I'm like, oh, no, I'll be okay. But that fear set right in, and I immediately had this feeling of, I can't do this. So I had about an hour and a half to practice, and I was practicing into the light bulb of the mirror that we had in our rooms. And I was like, I just didn't remember the talk. It was ridiculous. Wow. So I go to get mic'd up. I'm the first speaker. I had literally 89 seconds to go. And I said to the lady, I'm not going. I can't do that. Oh,
goodness.
Right? And I've spoken so many times. Right. And I'm an extrovert, or, I'm introvert, extrovert. I don't know, but I'm okay to speak.
Right.
And I can still feel that inside here. And I was like, I can't do this, because I'm going to look like an idiot. And I literally prayed to the universe. I remember just going, oh my God, universe, like I begged. And I looked up, and it was like, I know this. I know this. You just have to pull it out of me. Because it was body memory by that point.
Right.
So I've remembered the first 2 lines in my head, and then the rest came out of my body. I can't remember the rest of the TED Talk. And if you watch the TED Talk, the first 2 sentences, I'm a little bit nervous. I think I spit, and I was really scared. And then all of a sudden there's this pause where I transitioned into my body, because it wasn't coming out of anywhere else but my toes. And so we have that. And what happened after that was it took about a year for me to be able to speak on stage again without actually having to have a nervous breakdown. Wow. I had to really do some internal work. So it happens to the best of you, right? It's going to happen. You got to be okay with it. Yep. But I had a little bit of PTSD with it, and then I worked through that. But so sometimes it might look natural for people, but there's work that goes on for people to get on stage. Yeah.
Right. And thank you, wow, for being so vulnerable and authentic in sharing that. And I think it probably makes a lot of people feel good to know that even if you are a seasoned speaker, and even teaching people, that you can still have these feelings and emotions about going up there. And clearly it meant so much to you to be part of the TEDx series, that, you had these effects on you. So, it can happen to anybody. It could have not happened, but it did happen, right? And you've spoken so many times, and you're so good at it, and still that could happen. So, anyway, thank you for being vulnerable. It's awesome. But okay, so getting back to our challenge, with the world being online now, much more so than it ever has. What has changed for us as business owners in how we grow our businesses? Is there a change?
Absolutely. It's, when COVID hit, I actually took about 6 to 7, 8 weeks maybe, where I actually didn't go online very much. I just kind of hibernated, and I went, I'm just going to take a break, because the whole world was saying, you got to pivot, you got to pivot. Well, I had just pivoted. I'd spent 4 or 5 months in the pivot mode, and I'm like, and it wasn't working with online, of course, because it was about personal retreats.
Right.
And I decided that, what do people need? How are people growing their businesses today? And there's a lot of talk about, you got to create an online program and all of that. I mean, no one knows how to do that unless, you've done it before. Like, it's not that simple. But what is simple is to get out there speaking, talking about the pain, the challenges that your ideal clients are experiencing and showcasing yourself as the expert to help them fix it. So you have the solution to the problem. And so in the challenge, it's broken up into 5 days. And the first day is all about story, how to figure out what your story is that you would be sharing with the world, or your stories. The second day is about marketing, your marketing message. What is the learning that your audience needs to know, and what's the solution? So what's the pain and the challenge that they have, and what is your solution to it? So therefore, once again, it becomes your signature blueprint of, I'll use myself as a speaker coach, story coach is, so there's 5,000 of them out there online. It's probably more than that. But what makes me different? What is my proprietary system? So it's about helping you create a proprietary system. And if you don't know what that is, you need to join the challenge. So the third day is really around how do you make offers? And this is the key element here, is that a lot of people are not that great at selling in their business. They're great at selling, like if they're having a one-to-one conversation, right. But can you sell one-to-many? Now, on stage, it's one-to-many and you can see and read the energy in the room. But when you're online, it's impossible, right? So you have to get really good at being able to make offers online, whether they're free or you're one-to-one or a paid, but eventually they have to be paid offers. So it's a skill that you need to develop as well as a mindset. The first, now I forget what the fourth day is, but the fourth and fifth day are around how to grow your fan base, how to get clients, how to convert your audience into paying clients, right. And how to get gigs. So another most important thing that a lot of people struggle with is, where are the gigs? How do I get them? How do I showcase myself as an expert that event planners will say yes to me? So I'm actually doing an extra live training mainly on how to get booked speaking, because once you have a talk, or once you think you have a talk, or you're out there speaking to some degree, how do you find those gigs that are in alignment? Find those gigs that have your ideal audience right in front of you. How to create your own events, because as you know, it's not that simple. It's a lot of work. But when you know the step-by-step process, it becomes an easier process. And I teach all of that in this 5-day challenge, and go deep on how to get booked speaking, because really without a talk, you're not getting to anybody's, head and heart. But once you have a talk, if no one's hearing you, it doesn't matter. So, and there's hundreds and hundreds of new speaking gigs online, and there's no excuse really to not be. I mean, we're at home, I'm on my couch, I'm not going anywhere.
The best kept secret, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're actually building your business from the comfort of your own home. And really, right? Like really, we don't have to travel right now. And it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. So you got to maximize on what is available to us right now. And it is the internet, it's video, it's, those platforms.
I love it. I love it. So you're talking about how to get online speaking gigs. Do you want to give us a little sneak peek?
We'll join the challenge. That's number one sneak peek. It's free. By the way, the challenge is free. But one way to do it is to really get connected is, okay, this is where a lot of people think that they get it, but they miss the mark a little bit. Is, who is your ideal target audience? And it's like, if you have a client right now that you love, they are your ideal client. Okay. So take a look at the pain and the challenge that they have, and what is the solution. So when you're clear on that, when you're crystal clear, now you can go and look for opportunities. Google, obviously it's Googling the places, or asking people around to say, hey, I'm a speaker, or I'm a business coach, or whatever you are, for people who suffer from anxiety, as an example, suffer from anxiety and can't get out of bed in the morning. Do you know of any speaking engagements that might be around that really focus on health and wellness, that focus on anxiety, that focus on PTSD, or whatever the peripheral issues are around anxiety? Where are they? Start asking anybody and everybody, right. Posting on your own social media, but Google, a lot of Google searches, and you will find your ideal audience, and you will find a platform for you to be able to speak on. And secondly, why not just create your own event? Whether it's a Facebook Live like this, or a series of Facebook Lives, or a workshop or a seminar, a live training, a master class, a telesummit. I mean, there's so many different opportunities in order to speak, but create your own or find someone else who has your ideal audience and then go speak there all day long.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing a tip with us. I have one more question for you. Why did you create this challenge? Because you're not charging for it. You're giving a ton of value. Why did you create it?
So I did this challenge 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. It was super successful. And I did the challenge, which led into a lot of my one-day in-person events, which led to an amazing 3-day event that I did in Tampa, Florida. So I had that whole funnel system thing happening. And that's another thing that I teach on the challenge, is that funnel system. And so when COVID hit, I was working on doing more in-person live retreats, doing more of the group work as well as one-to-one, but I was really getting into the in-person stuff.
Right.
And when that all shut down, literally in a heartbeat, I sat back and I went, you know what? I got to take a break. I really wanted to figure out, what do I want the world to know about me? What do I want to be teaching? Because I had deviated a little bit from the speaking platform, still keeping the story piece. But I decided that I have this challenge, which I have all the pieces of the puzzle laid out. All the content is fresh, updated content. So it's all new content.
Right.
But I thought, it's just sitting there. Why don't I share it with the world? Because if I'm not going to share it with the world, people are going to be missing out. They're not going to be speaking. They're not going to be sharing their story. So I felt a little bit like it was my duty, it was my purpose here on earth, to help people grow their business and help share their story so that they can create greater impact in the world and, of course, income in their business. So I decided to resurrect the challenge and everything else that I have around this. And that's why I decided to do it. I just thought it doesn't make sense to not do it. And I encourage people who are feeling a little fearful to get up and do a Facebook Live because they're scared of doing video properly and all of that.
Right.
We're doing a disservice to our people if we don't show up 100%, even if it means all the flaws and all.
Right.
So that's really why I did it, why I'm doing it.
Oh, I love that. And thank you, because you're going to be helping so many people through this challenge. I did put the link, you guys, for to become part of the challenge, to join it for July 6 to 10. The link is in the description, so you guys can click that link and join in. And I hope that you do, because you are going to learn a ton. And the fact that Odette's offering this, complimentary is just incredible, because you guys are going to get a ton of value. I know that. I've learned from Odette already. I've had her as a coach. I've seen her workshop. She's just incredible. And I know the value is just going to be beyond expectation. So thank you, Odette, for doing that.
You're welcome. And thanks to everybody out there. And, I also thank COVID for all the beauty that it's given us, an opportunity to kind of really go introspective in our personal lives, but also in our business, and really get connected to what are we meant to be doing in this world.
Right.
And then, everything, all this, the support and the skill building is at our fingertips now. Because everybody has come out of the woodwork. We want you to as well, and we want you to be speaking. Not you, but you and you, everybody, the collective you.
And you.
Yeah.
You. I love that. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening or for watching the replay. I really encourage you, especially if you don't know who Odette is, you have to get to know her. And this is an awesome way to get to know her, is be part of her challenge and really absorb and put into action the things that she's going to teach you in this 5-day challenge. And I hope that you choose to work with her as well, because she's really incredible and she is results driven. So if you're looking for results, you're definitely going to achieve those if you work with Odette. So please join the challenge. Thank you, Odette, so much for sharing with us. It's been awesome as usual. And
big hugs and love to you. Can't wait to see you. Hug you.
I know. And I can't wait to be part of your challenge. Oh, one last question before we head off. So what is a time commitment? I know it's a 5-day challenge, but for
Oh,
everybody out there, what is their time commitment per day on this challenge?
so each of the videos that I've created are anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then there's homework to do. And now when I say homework, it's, you know, it's basically taking the information that I taught in the challenge and then creating your own elevator pitch or your own whatever it is that I've got as the homework. So just set aside, you know, set aside 30 minutes a day. And really what I encourage you to do is when you watch the videos, watch them twice, because you're going to hear more information than you heard in the first time. So here's one sort of a guarantee. If you watch the videos with all of your distractions off, don't be multitasking. Do the work, post on the forum, the homework, and you know, you're gonna get feedback from me, the whole bit. Play full out. Your business is not going to be the same as it was on the Monday when you started. It's just not. It can't. But then you have to continue the implementation process, because I've, you know, some people saying do the Facebook challenge videos at 5 to 10 minutes. I'm like, no, I want to be able to give everything I've got in a, you know, in a short amount of time. And then I'm also doing a bonus live training. So, you know, if all you got is 30 minutes a day, then do it. But I watch a lot of video when I'm taking a bath. Okay, a little weird, little inside information there, but you know, I'm not doing anything for half an hour. Watch a video.
Right, right.
Right?
Exactly. Love it. Love it. So thank you again for putting on this challenge and for sharing with us today. And I look forward to seeing everybody in the challenge.
Yay. All right. Ciao.
Okay, cheers.